Love feels like many different things. It's like this series of stages.
A sense of security and wonderment. Maybe, you know, somebody that you fascinated by, really, just respect.
The comfort in knowing that there's reciprocated affection. Instead of love, we look for colors.
I mean, she's very beautifully colored.
This girl I met, her name was Teresa.
Colors can signify sounds and emotions and the propensity for sexual energy that people strive for in the beginning of what we constitute love.
She was working in a deli at Pacific Center Mall. And I walked in there, and I used to go in there for a coffee every time. So I would come every day and talk to her and talk to her. Then we started going out, and I never thought I'd fall in love with this girl.
It sort of seemed like it just sort of happened by accident, which I think is the way it often is, right?
We went out for a little while. I stayed at her place with her girlfriends. It was down in the East End. And then we broke up.
There's some mistakes, and sometimes there's some really spectacular fights.
I went with another girl, get this, down to San Francisco, driving. And all I could do was think about her, all the way down there and all the way back. I came back, and she'd moved. I didn't know where she moved, anything. One of her friends said she moved in this apartment block. Didn't know what. So, like, we're talking 50 suites. Out there for 2 days. Teresa. Finally, she pops her head out. What do you want? I went, I think I love you. She says, come on up. And then it went from there.
And she let me sleep until about 9 or 9:30. She came flying into the bedroom. She landed on my covers. I was laying on my side. And she walked up to my head, and I lay really still because I was afraid, you know, I would startle her into biting me. And then she went and sat on my ear. And that was a really magical moment. She didn't bite, she wasn't aggressive, and she was soft and warm and very comforting. And as I lay there, I suddenly realized that I could hear her heartbeat. And, you know, as I was laying there, I thought, how often does anyone get a chance to hear the live heartbeat of a little bird? And then I became aware of her breathing, you know, the sound of her breath going in and out, her belly going up and down. So that rhythm layered over the heartbeat rhythm.
I got married to her. You know, she was pregnant for our first child. I got married to her, you know, up on the top of SFU, the mountain up there. Oh, that was really romantic.
I noticed one day that she wasn't well. She had some health issues. I took her to the bird hospital, and the vet said that she was, you know, pretty well at the end of her life. I said a little prayer, something I had said often, you know, when she was living with me. And all of a sudden, she perked up and opened her eyes wide, and she was completely conscious and all there and all present. But for the first time in our life together, I was actually able to take her in my hands because she had been so scared of hens. She leaned her beak in behind my ear. I was filled with this, I was buzzing with this feeling of just energy and well-being and love, and I felt inspired. I felt so good. And at 5 a.m. the next morning, I got a call from the hospital, and she had just passed away.
And then we lost both our children, died. One at 14 years old, she was Ryan, the firstborn. He died of leukemia, cancer. The day before Christmas, he was 12 hours in a coma, he died. And then my other son died at crib death at 9 months. And of course, when that happens, you kind of blame either each other or yourself. It was quite the experience. It was my babies, and I felt when it was close, the second closest to being to God was your children. It was beautiful. I wish every man experienced this. And if I hadn't been mature enough, I'm sure we probably still would have stuck it out together. But it was a love story for me, and it was wonderful, and something I'll always cherish. You know,
I just was overcome with awe that she had spent those last 2 visits with me generating this energy. Where did that come from? How did she do that? And whenever I thought of, feeling overly despairing or in grief, over her death, we had 9 wonderful years together, and going into a really down place, I just remember the energy that she put through me. I guess it was the energy of love. I'd never experienced that before with anybody. And how did she do that? That was just so magical. And I could never go into that dark, despairing place because I felt that it would be betraying the gift that she gave me.